Greetings, colleagues. This brief video places emphasis on Nearpod as an instructional tool. Do enjoy! So the first thing we would want to do is head over to Nearpod. You would be greeted with this. As usual, if you have an account, you would proceed to login. If not, you go to sign up for free. Next, you are going to choose your role as a teacher. If you already have an existing Google account, you can go straight to signing up with it, or you can create the account from here. I am going to sign up with Google using a Google account. So I agree to terms and conditions. You can go through the terms and conditions. I'm familiar with it because I already have an account. Sign up. So you can create your profile. What is your area of specialization? So you select, or if it's not there, you select other, the grades that you teach. Whichever it is, you would include that information, your role. Are you a teacher, instructional coach, whichever, and you're finished, done. You would be greeted with a page that looks like this. Okay, Nearpod allows for creativity and interactivity. So in order to create your Nearpod lesson, you can come to create. You would be greeted with those. You can give your lesson a title. You can put your description. You would select your grades, subject again. You submit it. And your next step is you would click here and determine what do you want. Do you want to do slides? Do you want to do video? So where you can put questions in your video. Do you want to do share URL to articles and more? Do you want to do a Nearpod 3D where you interact with three-dimensional objects? Do you want to do interaction with math and science simulation? Do you want the students to take a virtual field trip? Do you want to add science and social studies video? Do you want to use Sway? Do you want to do slideshow? Do you want to do audio? Do you want to do PDF, upload a PDF? So if you do not want to do any of those content, sharing content with students using any of those means, you are going to go to activities instead. Let's say you want to do a quiz with the students. You would come to quiz. And here you will be greeted with this page. If you notice, it has some of the elements, like if you're creating a Word document, you would type your question here. So for example, I may ask, is not a function of the family. Okay, so that's my question, and as usual, I can do my bold. I can do my coloring to make it more pronounced, as well as I can change my font size. I can do my underlining. I can move in terms of center line and left line and so on. And I would proceed with my responses to provide care and love, to provide shelter, and I click on add answer if I want to add another option to create chaos. And I can keep adding responses. If I only want 3, I would leave it as 3, and I would select my correct response, which is this one. And I can proceed to adding another question. So I may say, in this instance, I may decide to utilize a photo and ask the students a question. So I can select my image, as it says here, image, audio recorder, PDF viewer, video, audio, web content. So you can actually add anything from here incorporated within your question, but I'm just going to do an image. Okay, and so the image is here, and my question may be, which of the following types of family is likely displayed in the photo? Sibling family, nuclear family, single parent family. In this case, I can give the students both sibling and single as the correct response, although I want them to select single, but a child may argue this could also be an elder sister taking care of the little sister, or elder sibling taking care of the younger sibling. So let's say this is all I would like to have for the questions. The next step would be to save. And if you notice, as it relates to my actual lesson on or content on the family, I have a quiz. I can decide to move to add another content or activity, and I would click here. Again, I can include content or another activity. In this case, I may decide to give the students fill in the blank, and I would type the characters here. Okay, and I'll also change around this here using this, like the background, what style I would like. Once I'm satisfied, I would go to next. Then I would have to click the words on the right to add to the word bank. So for example, so I may click here and it's going to bring it here. And I may click this one here as well. Okay, so when the students are filling in the blank, they would need to decide which goes where, and I can count. Before I reach to this point, I could have added more questions. Okay, so I would go to done, and here is my fill in the blanks. I can add another activity. This time I may decide to do matching pairs. And in this case, I would have to add the pictures that are supposed to match. So I can ask the students to match the following images to the appropriate type of family. Add pair. So here I can decide to add the image itself. So I'm going to locate the image. So let's say this specific image. Let's see what it depicts. This. So I would put the correct response for it. I would put nuclear family, and that's pair 1. I can add another pair again. I can put extended family. Add another pair, that's pair 3. This time I'll do, let's say, the single parent family. That's here. So I have the 3 pairs here. If I can also do image to image, so if I put an image here, I could also put another image, and the students would have to know that the 2 images corresponds. It depends on the level. For example, lower level, you may prefer to use image to image, but at the higher level, image to text may be most appropriate. Or let's say, for example, you're doing science, and you may choose to use image to image. Again, it's based on your preference and the objective you're trying to achieve. You can also do add timer, so the students have a specific time. They will see the countdown to complete the activity. So we have done 3. We have done quiz in the form of multiple choice. We did fill in the blanks. We also have matching pairs. We can continue to add. Let's say I wanted the students to actually do an open-ended question. I would come here and I would give the students a question here. Mika and her mom recently moved to Shanghai. Since her mother and father divorced. And I can ask the students now, discuss 2 likely impacts this can have on Shanghai. Okay, and of course, if I want to put an image, and audio and so on here, I can include it as well. You also have the option of enabling student to record, so the student may choose to speak their response, record it instead of writing it. We know that students, we have to cater for the diverse needs, those who may prefer to speak rather than to type. So this can be done. You can also add the timer, and once you're satisfied, you save. So let's say there's a file I want the student to view. I can upload that using upload the PDF as I mentioned before. I can also, for example, if I don't want to give the students an activity, as I mentioned before, I can decide to give them, let's say, via PowerPoint. like content via PowerPoint, and so I would just go to where I would have created the PowerPoint, wherever it's saved. So let's say this is what I want to do with them. So I would locate that PowerPoint that I want to share with them. Let's say this is it here. It's going to load. So it says uploading your file. My next step would be, so once this is content I have for them. So for example, I may want to present content to them first before they complete the activities, okay? And the next step would be for me to save and exit. So, woohoo! You just made your first lesson. Let's teach. And it's right here. You notice it says saving. So it's right here. My next step would be, after it's finished saving, to launch it so that the students can have access. Live participation, this is what it's going to look like. So the students have, this is the code. You can copy the link. You can utilize other forms as well. You can launch a Zoom meeting. So you create the Zoom. Okay, and this is happening live, right? All of this would be, so you're going through the presentation with the students, you're seeing your screen and so on. You can open the whiteboard and you are there using Zoom with them. You're having a synchronous session, and certain things you may choose to draw, okay? And they're seeing. You can close your whiteboard and return to your slides. So it allows for this level of interactivity. Back to our home page. So that's how you can do it live with the students. And as they participate in the quiz and so on, it's going to be happening at the same time. Or you can do student pace, where the students work at their own pace. And to do that, you click there, you get your code, and you share your link, you share with the students, and you also you can give them the code in the event they're prompted to enter the code. So this is the code here. You can require them to there's responses and prevent skipping. So for example, they cannot move on to another component of the activity unless they complete the first one. It's up to you. You can decide to leave it off so that they could always come back. But in the event you know your students, in the event that you believe that they will just keep skipping and not complete, you can turn it on. As you notice, you can you can embed this specific activity, for example, within a learning management system. It can be incorporated with Google Classroom. It can be incorporated with Remind, as well as Microsoft Teams. In terms of viewing progress, so as the students are completing the activity, you go on view progress. And I would see waiting for students to sign it. That means nobody has attempted as yet. And what is going to happen as the students are doing the activities is going to show up here. And it also would show me for, well, this is basically the presentation, so no marks is awarded for that. But for the quiz, it's going to show me the student, their scores, what correct responses they had, what incorrect, where they did not answer. This is a fill in the blank, so it's going to show me as well the students' responses. Here again, it's going to show me who attempted, how many matches they got, they tried, the amount of attempts they gave. here as well, the student, they answer, and it can also, I can click on show student's name or not. So if I don't want it to show, I would do this. So for example, if I'm displaying that specific screen using synchronous session like via Zoom, I may not want to show the student's name to make anybody feel demotivated. For example, if a student did not perform well, so I can hide the names and we can discuss the responses together. So remember, you can utilize it for a presentation you may have done related to content, as well as for the students to complete the activity. As I said, as the students complete the activity, you would see who is completing it, as well as their scores. Okay, and you can decide if you're going to do it live, where it's happening at the same time, or student pace. This again is up to you depending on the nature of the specific activity or content. You can decide to share with teachers. So let's say you want to co-teach, you can do this by sharing with teachers. You have preview only link, so they would only see but they can't edit, and you have the link that you can edit, so you can share this. So it's up to you. So you may do a quiz, and you and the teacher decide, I'm going to do this part, you're going to do this part. So when you finish with your task, you can share and they would continue from their editing. You can duplicate as well. Let's say you have two groups of students doing the same subject, but they are at different level. You can duplicate it instead of having to reinvent the wheel, and then you make your adjustments. So if I click on duplicate, this is what would happen. Okay, and I can change the name. I can put a distinguishing name. For example, I may say the family too, and I save and exit. So now I have two. Okay, so I know one is for the more advanced students, one is for the students who may need their hands to be held a bit. And preview what your activities look like before sharing. So this is the content. Let's say for example they have to look at the content before attempting the activity. This is what it looks like. Then they have the quiz. So as you go through it, if there is something you want to change, you can always change it. So the students would select by doing this. Okay, and they match, they do their matching. So they may do this and this, and they see, you see it's correct, and they continue. Send this, they continue. They have their open-ended question. When they provide their response, you would have to grade that one. The system doesn't grade it. And this is what I was speaking about. They can be allowed to record the audio here. So a student who doesn't want to type can actually record their response here as well. So once you have finished with your preview and everything is okay, and you do everything is not okay, you can edit here, as well as you would go back. You can even view its full screen. Once you're satisfied, you would go back to your home page. You can also create folders where you have your various content saved there. You can go to video, you can go to YouTube, search for a video. Say I want to use this one. I would click on it, save it, and it's here. So what I can do, video plays. I may decide before to put a question, so I add an activity, and it may be, for example, I ask them to define the family, so that's a pre-question. So before they look at the video, they would define the term families, like brainstorming. As the video continues, I may also want to add an activity here where I ask them to select the responses which select examples of types of family, and I may give them nuclear, extended, common law, and the correct responses, and I save it. So they have this level of interactivity on the video. So they're playing the video, but they would be met with the questions. So they have their question, they select, and they answer. So this can be done throughout the video. So it leads to interactivity. They do not just watch the video, but they actually respond to questions. So if I'm satisfied, I would save. Okay, and if I want to, I can do front of the class. As the video plays, they are met with the questions and they will give their responses. Okay, then the video continues to play, then they will be greeted with another question. Okay, so they would have to select they know their response, and the solution would be shared here. So that's basically the various ways we can utilize Nearpod to create levels of interactivity. You can decide to do it via synchronous session. So you share your screen, and let's say you did your presentation, they can view it there, or in their own time. For example, if you do the interactive video, they can look at the video and respond to the questions. So you create that level of interactivity, as well as they can get to do the quiz outside of a synchronous session. Or you can choose to let the quiz be done live, and for example, you may share the screen, but remember, you can hide the student's name so that nobody feels intimidated because they may not be performing at best. I trust this video would be beneficial to you.